Hello friends, I am from Biology faculty of QLS Academy. Today we are going to learn about food preservation and nitrogen fixation. Hope you'll enjoy today's learning. Let's start with our lesson. Now let's talk about food preservation. Now food is an organic substance. Once eaten provides human body with the required energy. हम खाना क्यों खाते हैं? With the main purpose that it gives us energy. Food is mostly organic. Is that it contains carbon and hydrogen molecules and degenerate over time. हम एक ही खाना, जैसे जो खाना हमने दोपहर में खाया है, हम 2 दिन तक वही खाना तो लगातार खाते नहीं हैं. Food once exposed to air undergoes reaction which is normally referred to as degeneration. Food provides a perfect breeding site for microorganisms. These microorganisms, which include bacteria and fungi, produces poison as they multiply while feeding on the food. This contaminated food, if consumed, can lead to fatal cases of diarrhea as well as food poisoning. It is due to this degeneration that people have come up with means of food preservation to make it sure it lasts longer. Food preservation involves the delaying of the onset of multiplication of these microorganisms. People over time have learned on better ways of keeping their food safe. So the process in which the food material are given a suitable physical or a chemical treatment to prevent their spoilage is called as food preservation. Now what are the methods to preserve food? हम food preserve कैसे कर सकते हैं? Now there are number of methods of preserving food. They are sun drying or dehydration, heating, cooling, deep freezing, addition of common salt, addition of sugar, addition of mustard oil or vinegar, use of special chemical preservatives, pasteurization and packing food in airtight packets. First let's talk about preservation by sun drying or dehydration. Drying. Drying means removal of water from the food material. हम पानी का amount घटाते हैं, बहुत minimum कर देते हैं, which are to be prepared. It reduces the water content of food material and makes them dry. In the absence of moisture, मतलब अगर पानी नहीं है, the food does not get spoiled because the microorganisms which spoil food do not grow in the dry food. The vegetables like spinach, methi leaves, cauliflower, peas are preserved in a home by the sun drying method. These dried vegetables can be stored safely for a long time and used whenever they are required. Second is preservation of food by heating. Heating kills many microorganisms and prevents the food from spoilage. For example, we boil milk to prevent it from spoiling. जब भी हमारे घर में दूध आता है, हम फर्स्ट उसको पहले बॉईल करते हैं. क्यों? ताकि जितने भी माइक्रोऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं वो उनकी क्वांटिटी या तो कम हो जाए या फिर वो सारे डेड हो जाए. When we heat the milk during boiling, then the food spoiling bacteria present in it get killed, so the boiled milk remains good for a longer time. Third is preservation of food by cooling. Now lower temperature inhibits the growth of microorganisms. Lower temperature cooling देते हैं तो microorganism की growth inhibit हो जाती है, रुक जाती है. The food spoiling bacteria do not grow and multiply in cold conditions. When food is kept in a cold place, then the food does not get spoiled easily. आपने घर में देखा होगा कि हम खाना बनाते हैं, खाना खाने के बाद अगर खाना बचता है तो हम फ्रिज में रख देते हैं, cold conditions में रखते हैं. The food material like milk, cooked food and fresh fruits and vegetables are kept in a cool place like refrigerator to prevent their spoilage. Fourth is preservation by deep freezing. Now preservation of food by deep freezing means preservation of food by excessive cold. Excessive मतलब ज़्यादा cold conditions, बहुत ही ज़्यादा cold conditions provide करेंगे. Deep freezing of food can be done by placing it in the freezer compartment of a refrigerator. When the food is kept in deep freezer, then food gets frozen. आप सब ने frozen food खाया होगा. At the very low temperature in deep freezer, the growth of food spoiling microorganism is prevented completely. Due to this, the frozen food remains unspoiled and fresh for a longer period of time. Deep freezing method is used for the preservation of foods like meat, fish, fruits and vegetables. Fifth is preservation of food by common salt. Common salt जो नमक हम घर में use करते हैं. Common salt prevents the growth of food spoiling microorganisms, due to which it is used to preserve a number of food material. It is used to preserve meat and fish. They are covered with dry salt to prevent the growth of bacteria. Such meat and fish do not get spoiled easily. Sixth is preservation of food by sugar. Shakkar. Sugar is used as preservative in making jams and jellies from fruits. सभी ने jams खाए होंगे, jellies खाई होंगी. So, it reduces the moisture content from the fruit, which inhibits the growth of microorganisms like bacteria which spoil the fruits. 7 is preservation of food by mustard oil and vinegar. They are used as preservative for the preservation of fruits and vegetables in the form of pickles, achar. The use of mustard oil or vinegar prevents the spoilage of fruits and vegetables because food spoiling bacteria cannot live in such environment. They are used as preservative for preserving fruits such as raw mangoes, amla and lemon in the form of their pickles. 8th is the preservation of food by using special chemicals as preservative. हम special type of chemicals use करते हैं. Now the 3 special chemicals which are used as preservative in the preservation of food are sodium metabisulfite, sodium benzoate and citric acid. 9th is preservation of food by pasteurization. The method of pasteurization is used for the preservation of milk in big dairies. It involves the process of heating followed by quick cooling. हम पहले heat करते हैं फिर एकदम से हम उसे cool off करते हैं. First, the milk is heated for about 15 to 30 seconds to kill the most of the bacteria present in them. This hot milk is then cooled very quickly to a very low temperature to prevent any remaining bacteria from growing further. And then milk is stored in cold. The pasteurized milk can be consumed without boiling because it is free from harmful microorganisms. 10 is the preservation of food by airtight packets. Dry fruits and even vegetables are sold in sealed airtight packets to prevent the attack of microorganisms on them. This helps the dry fruits and vegetables to remain unspoiled for a longer period of time. Now, bacteria also show some unique features of their own. I am talking about nitrogen fixation. You all might have heard about nitrogen fixation. Our atmosphere has 78% of nitrogen gas. The major component of our atmosphere is nitrogen gas. The atmospheric nitrogen gas cannot be used directly by the plants or animals. इतना लार्ज कॉम्पोजिशन हमारा एटमॉस्फेयर का नाइट्रोजन गैस ऑक्यूपाई करता है, बट दिस नाइट्रोजन गैस कैन नॉट बी यूज डायरेक्टली बाय प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स. नाउ द प्रोसेस ऑफ कन्वर्टिंग दिस नाइट्रोजन गैस ऑफ द एटमॉस्फेयर और द एयर इनटू कंपाउंड्स ऑफ नाइट्रोजन which can be used by plants is called as nitrogen fixation. The nitrogen gas is the free nitrogen, whereas nitrogen compounds are said to be fixed, that is converted into nitrogen compounds. The nitrogen gas of atmosphere can be fixed, number 1, by certain nitrogen fixing bacteria present in the soil, or number 2, by rhizobium bacteria present in the root nodules of leguminous plants such as peas. Third, by blue-green algae, or fourth, by lightning. Now, the nitrogen fixing rhizobium bacteria lives in the root nodules of leguminous plants. Some nitrogen fixing bacteria live freely in the soil, whereas other nitrogen fixing bacteria live in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. Nitrogen gas of atmosphere also gets fixed through the action of lightning in the sky. Now, let's talk about nitrogen cycle. Now, why nitrogen fixation is important? This is where nitrogen cycle comes. Nitrogen is required by both plants and animals for their growth and development. It is an essential component of proteins which make up the bodies of plants and animals. It is also present in chlorophyll, nucleic acids and vitamins. The circulation of nitrogen elements through living things and non-living things in the environment is called as nitrogen cycle. There are number of steps in nitrogen cycle. Number first, the atmosphere containing nitrogen gas. The nitrogen fixing bacteria present in the soil and in the root nodules of leguminous plant, blue-green algae and the lightning in the sky converts the nitrogen gas from the atmosphere into compounds of nitrogen which go into the soil. Second, the plant take the compounds of nitrogen from the soil for their growth. The plant absorbs the nitrogen compounds from the soil through their roots. The plant then converts the compounds of nitrogen into plant proteins and other organic compounds which make up the body of the plants. Third, then the plants are then eaten by animals as food. Animals then convert plant proteins into animal proteins and other organic compounds which make up their body. Some animals also eat other animals to obtain nitrogen compounds. Fourth, when plants and animals die, the complex nitrogen compound present in their bodies are decomposed and converted into simple nitrogen compounds by certain bacteria and fungi present in the soil. All the simple compounds of nitrogen formed in this way go into the soil. The compounds of nitrogen which were taken up by the plants from the soil during their growth are then returned to the soil. These nitrogen compounds are again absorbed by the new plants for their growth, and this part of nitrogen cycle is repeated endlessly. Fifth, some of the compounds of the nitrogen are decomposed by denitrifying bacteria present in the soil to form nitrogen gas. The nitrogen gas then goes back into the atmosphere. As a result, the percentage of nitrogen in the atmosphere remains more or less constant. So students, this was all about how food can be prevented from spoilage by microorganisms, and we also learned about how nitrogen cycle works in the atmosphere and keeps the proportion of nitrogen in the atmosphere constant. This was all for today's lesson. If you have any more doubt, you can go to the following link.